Hello, my name is Lino Tadros from Falafel Software, and this video is going to be showing you how to create custom templates in Sitefinity 4.0 Service Pack 1. First, let's go ahead and build a brand new project using the project manager built into Sitefinity 4. And from the project manager, you can notice I'm running 401210, which is the Service Pack 1. And I'm going to create a brand new project in Sitefinity 4. We'll call it, for instance, new custom template, and we'll say next. I'm going to choose one of our licenses in here, and we'll upload a license file that I already got on my machine. There it is, and we'll say next. And then it's correct, that is the falafel.com website for that. And at this point, I can just go ahead and open it in administration. We'll say finish. And that will build all the entire file system needed for this website. And Chrome is my default browser on this machine. And right now there is no database, so it will go ahead and ask me to build this in using SQL Server or SQL Server Express. And there we go. We're going to use SQL Express for this test website. We'll say continue. That is going to be building all the necessary tables, entities, and everything in the database. And the next step will require a minimum of one admin to be able to log into the system. So I'm going to be going ahead and adding my first name, last name. I give it a password. Notice in 4.0 you have to have a minimum of 7 characters, not like in 3.7. And finally I'll enter my email address right there, and we'll say I am done. And after a few seconds, the entire administration portion of the website, the backend, will load, and I will be on the dashboard for Sitefinity 4.0. All right. The next step here will be to open up maybe the website inside of Visual Studio and start seeing what would need to happen for you to use a custom template that contains all your master pages and also all your themes in that new template you'd like to create. So first of all, I can shut this down. Now let's log out from here. I can shut down my Chrome server. And I'm going to go ahead and open up Visual Studio 2010. It has to be 2010. It doesn't have to be Ultimate or Professional. It can be even the free Web Express version of 2010. But Sitefinity 4 will require that, at least 2010, because it requires .NET 4.0. Alrighty? So what do you need to do to open up this project inside of Visual Studio? And notice I mentioned the word project, not website. It's not like before in 3.7 where you could open directory of where the website resides on your hard drive. This has to open as a project in 4.0. So we'll say file open project, make sure you choose that. And then we are going to go to my program files, we'll go to the Telerik directory, right there, Sitefinity 4, projects, and hopefully we'll find something in here that's called new custom template. There you go, that's the one that's created today. We'll say open, say open that, and there is a CS project in here, Sitefinity Web Application. This is the file that you need to open in Visual Studio. Once we open this project, it will actually open the project in the Solution Explorer. You will see all the files needed to have this website correctly implemented in Visual Studio. All right. So the main question right now is, where do I create my custom templates? And templates here would mean also the master pages and the themes. If you're familiar with ASP.NET, whether it's 2.0, 3.5, or 4.0, or previous versions of Sitefinity, you could actually go in here in the Sitefinity web app and you can say, I would like to add an ASP.NET folder, create a theme, or you can go create a directory called App Master. And ASP.NET is very familiar with the App Master directory and also the App Themes directory. And you can still do that in Sitefinity 4.0, but it's not recommended by Telerik. And the reason for it is not maybe very apparent right now using the Service Pack 1 of Sitefinity 4, but in a future version or a release or a Service Pack of Sitefinity 4, you will see that there will be a need for you to use the hierarchy that Telerik would like you to use. And the reason for that is mainly the marketplace. So the marketplace, hopefully in the future, will be integrated into your own website. So if you see a theme that you like, for instance, instead of having to go download it and install it yourself, right from inside of your Sitefinity administration, you can actually have immediate access to the marketplace and download the theme and get it to work right away from inside of there. So that will make it very easy, and hopefully for the future, whether it's themes or controls or modules, you don't have to download them separately and just go install them. You can do that straight from your administration. So that would be very, very easy and very neat feature in the future. For you to be able to do that, folks, we need to go to the app data directory. You'll notice there is a directory here called Sitefinity under app data. Notice that this is not the Sitefinity directory on the root that we are used to from before. Actually, the one we used to before is called Sitefinity. Here, this is only mainly about the REST services calls for this. So it's a very different hierarchy in 4.0. Anyway, we'll go to the app data under the Sitefinity directory. You will see there is the configuration in your license file. Under the Sitefinity directory in here, folks, we're going to have to create a new directory, new folder, and we'll call this one Website Templates. Website Templates. Oops. Website Templates. If I can spell. There you go. Website Templates. And from this point on, I can actually create my first template underneath this folder. So we'll say, we'll create one in here, for instance, a new folder, and we'll call it Lino. So that's my first template. You can have as many templates as you want in here. The first one, maybe we'll call it Lino. What happens underneath Lino at this point? We will be able to create, for instance, the app master that we know and love from .NET, from ASP.NET. We'll say app master. And we can also create another directory in here. And we'll call this one app_themes. All right, so I'm almost there to create this stuff. I just want to also bring up the issue that I'm not going to cover in this video, but in a future video we'll do that, is you can also create another directory called Widget Templates under the Lino here. So you'll have App Master, App Themes, and Widget Templates, so that you can have ASCX control for blogs and news and events and so on that have code behind in C#, for instance, to be able to run your widget templates with code behind. Alrighty, there is so many ways to do that, and you don't need to do the widget templates as files, ASCX controls, and code behind if you don't need code behind. You can definitely do that directly into the UI template manager inside of Sitefinity if you don't need code behind. Anyway, for this video, we're going to concentrate on the App Master and App Themes area. Under App Master in here, for instance, this is what I'm going to be creating all my master files, and the app themes in here will contain the name of all the themes, and under each name we'll have some directories probably, but the most important one of them will be global, like we're going to see in a few minutes. Okay, so let me go ahead, for instance, and open up Chrome here, and I'm going to go and show you a website that I usually go and steal some nice templates from there to test with. So we'll say CSS, I believe it's called freecsstemplates.org. There you go. This website in here contains like 521 different sample CSS templates that you can get. So you can actually click on this link in here, and you can actually spend the rest of your day taking a look at different templates that you can borrow from. None of these things have anything to do with Sitefinity or have anything to do with ASP.NET to begin with. These are all HTML, CSS, and images that can work in PHP, regular HTML, whatever kind of website you like. So if you find one that you like and you'd like to borrow the look and feel from, you can just click on it. Let's say, for instance, we'll take this first one in here. And that's the Green Forest look and feel. See, it has a nice little banner. It has a nice logo-based menu all the way at the top. It has also a left side sidebar in here, and it will have the entire content on the right side. So if you like what you see, okay, let's start with that. There will be a download.zip here called Green Forest. Let's click on this download, and it will download the zip file really quickly for you. Let's open up this zip file, and it contains, as you can see, a style.css, a license file, an index.html, and all the images that come with this specific template. So I'm going to say extract all these files. Let's put them, for instance, in, obviously I downloaded this before, so we'll call this Green Forest 2. That's a directory. And there we go. So what do I do actually with these files right now, folks? Let's say, for instance, I'm not caring right now for the license.txt, that's fine. I want to take these three files, or these two files and one directory, and I'll start to do my surgery inside of Sitefinity. The best way that I recommend for you to do this is to do this on small steps so that you do not make a mess out of the files and don't know where to start and so on. So what I usually do is to copy all these different files and directories, and it will say copy to the clipboard. And then I'm going to go open up Visual Studio. And even though I'm not going to need that at the end, I like to create a new directory, a folder in here, and we'll call this one Green Forest. Okay? Let's put an N in here. And under Green Forest, I'm going to paste all these things right here. The images, there they are, my index.html, and the style.css. Just to make sure that what I did is correct, I can run the index.html from within the context of my website, of my web project, to make sure that this will work. So if I run this view in browser, it will actually instantiate the Cassini web server built into the project manager of Visual Studio. And it's, as you can see, hitting the local host on a port number index.html. If I can see the website, I'm in good shape. And as you can see here now, we're not running on the website from free CSS template. This is coming from my machine. So I know that I have all the files needed to make this guy work as a first-class citizen inside of Sitefinity 4. All right, great. So let's go back to Visual Studio and start doing our surgery. Our surgery here, folks, will be how can I take these files and make them part of a Sitefinity template. So let's go to the Lino again, to the Lino website template, and there is an app master and app theme. I'm going to start with the app theme, and we're going to give our first theme, we'll call it in here, we'll call it, let's say, Green Forest. That's our first theme. And underneath the Green Forest, it's not like before where you can actually just drag the style.css and put it underneath that theme. You can do that, but the style.css will not be loaded automatically for you when somebody uses the theme called Green Forest. To make sure that the style.css is immediately loaded on your behalf when somebody loads the Green Forest theme in Sitefinity 4, you have to have another folder in here, and it's called Global. Okay? This is a very important step, folks. Once you have that, I can click on the style.css and I can move it, as you can see here, under the global. Now I'm guaranteed that this style.css will be loaded automatically when somebody uses the Green Forest. You could have multiple CSS files. You can have style1, style2, style3.css, and they will all be loaded automatically as soon as the theme is loaded. Sounds good so far? All right, how about the images? What do I do with the images? All right, well, it has to be pretty much, as you can see, at the same level as the style. So I'm going to use this and put it under global. If this is not the right place for it, you can move global outside to be at the same level as global if you want, and that might be a better thing. But if you do that, of course, you have to go and fix the style.css. If it's using any URL, it has a dot slash and so on. I'm not going to do that for right now. I'm just going to leave it for you as an exercise to do. You can move the images to be underneath Green Forest, not under global, and just fix the style.css to fix that. All right. The final thing, folks, is this index.html guy. If I open up this file, you'll notice it has a lot of the HTML markup with the license file at the top. It has a doc type in here. And if you take a look at this, you probably see that there is a header section in here. There is a lot of metadata in here. There is the body. So there are some things, if you're familiar with Sitefinity, that do not fit in as a first-class citizen. First of all, the head has to run at the server. And usually these meta tags and titles and links are not really first-class citizen in Sitefinity because all that stuff would be coming from the database. So how do I actually do my surgery finally to make this work? Well, we need to create a master page based on this index.html. If I go to the app master in here, folks, if I right-click and I say add new, notice what happens. Visual Studio is not aware of this app_master directory in that hierarchy. It is very aware of app_master if it's at the root of the web project or the website. So if you go to web, you will not be able to create a master page. Visual Studio will not help you much. So my recommendation for you is to actually click on the Sitefinity web app all the way at the top and go ahead and create your master page at the root, just to start with. So we'll come in here, for instance, and we'll say Green Forest.master, we'll say add, and that will use C# as a code behind for the master page. And notice it got created for me right here, Green Forest.master. It has the CS for the code behind right there, and it also has the designer file for the whole thing. Once it got created at the root and Visual Studio was able to help us out, let's go ahead and take this entire thing and drag it and put it right on the app master under the Lino template. So if I do that, it will move automatically from the root, but I can still work with it. So it's a matter of where you start the master page, but after that, you're good to go. Okay? So let's take a look at the master page. It has the master directive all the way at the top, which is great. It has a doc type of transitional. It has my HTML tag. The header is run at server. The body is in there. So we're in good shape. But now I want to actually get everything from this index.html. So how do we do that? My recommendation is to copy everything in this file, Control-A, Control-C, and then we'll go to the Green Forest master. We'll bypass the first two lines, the doc type for transitional and the master, and everything in here from HTML all the way down is going to go bye-bye at this point. And I'm going to paste everything from the index.html. So when we go back up, there will be two doc types, and you can leave the transitional restricts based on how the template was created. I'm actually going to go ahead and leave either one. For this one, it will not make much difference. Okay, let's delete this stuff from here for right now so we can see the code better. And I'm going to start doing 4 things in this file to make it a first-class citizen of Sitefinity 4. First of all, this header, guys, has to be run at server. If you don't do that, you're going to get problems in Sitefinity. Okay, so that is my first part. Header is run at server. All right. And all this stuff will be coming from the database later, so I don't need it. So I'm going to delete all that stuff. See, now the file is going to end up being very small at the end. That is my header run at server, and now I have my body. The body in here have something that might work for ASP.NET but will not work for Sitefinity, and that is it does not start with a form tag that encapsulates everything inside of the body. And if I go down a little bit, you will notice there will be a search form. There you go. There is a form in here that has a div for the input for the search mechanism. Of course, as I told you, the HTML has no clue about Sitefinity. Sitefinity doesn't like what you see in here, folks. The form has to run at the server and has to encapsulate the entire data. So I'm actually going to take all this stuff out like this, and we'll go ahead and comment it out for right now. Okay? And now I'm going to do the second out of the 4 things that I have to do. I'm going to add my form. Say form. And you don't have to give it an ID if you're not going to talk to the form in code or anything like that, but I'm just going to go ahead and give it an ID anyway. We say ID equals my form. It's not needed, but there you go. And the most important thing is that we're going to have to make it run at server. Okay? Once you do that, the closing statement for the form has to be all the way at the bottom, right before the closing of the body. So we'll go right here before the closing of the body, and that is the closing of the form. So we are right now in a good shape. We have the entire form encapsulating the entire data. There is one thing that is also very important, folks. Oops, I have an extra quotes in there. We fixed that. Alrighty. You would like to actually use the script manager to make sure that any loading of JavaScript or CSS files will not block each other. So script manager or the rad script manager from the Telerik rad controls, you can use either one. I'm going to use the ASP.NET one in here. We say ASP content script manager. You can give it an ID or not. It still will work either way because we're not going to talk to it in code. So we'll say my script manager. And in here, we'll have to make it run at server. Very important part. And that's the only thing you need to do. Just have to have one of these things inside of your body encapsulated inside of the form. Other than that, we're ready to go. As a matter of fact, this is now pretty much a legal Sitefinity master page that will work right away. So, of course, it's a hard-coded file. That means all the stuff in the div here for the menu and inside of the wrapper are hard-coded for the menu in here. Maybe I do not want to hard-code all the stuff. So every time you want to replace things with hard-coded values in the master, you can highlight this UL altogether and you can delete it. And now we're going to start placing ASP.NET content placeholder. So we'll say ASP content placeholder. It's very important that you give it a name. Okay, we'll call this one top menu, for instance. And it has to run at server as well. Okay, so that is my first content placeholder. Now I'm going to get into the logo area. And notice the logo area has some text. It says Green Forest, for instance. And it has a design by with a link inside of it. Alrighty? So that would probably be our logo, which is the header part. Instead of having this hard-coded, let's go ahead and take all this stuff out. Like this. And in here would say ASP content placeholder. And just to save time, I'm just going to go ahead and copy and paste this line because I'm going to use it several times. And we'll go in here and we'll do Control V. And we'll change it. This will be the banner, right? So this will be where the logo is going to go for the page, or the banner area. And then you'll go down and here you'll see the page. And where do all these things, the wrapper and menu and all these things come from? These will be the ones that will be married later on inside of the style.css. So if I open up the style.css here, folks, you will notice that there is a lot of different elements and a lot of different classes being designed in here in CSS with the width and color and images and so on, the headers you can see in here. All these things are available for you right inside of there. Alrighty? So that's the good thing about borrowing from an existing template that you know it works. You just have to do a very small amount of surgery in the file to make a legal master page for a template inside of Sitefinity 4. Alrighty? So this, for instance, have all hard-coded posts, for instance, for the content. I might want to take all these posts out of here. There you go, all the way till here, for instance. Delete them. You see now I have only one content area, and I'm going to say Control V, and we'll call this one for the content placeholder, we'll call it content. Okay? And you can keep going like this. This is the sidebar, the guy that actually shows up on the side, the left side of the screen. So one of them will be the search all the way at the top, which might be a good idea for us to actually take this out, and we'll say search. I just pasted the same exact content placeholder line. So let me make this a little bit better in here. There you go. And then there is a lot of different hard-coded values. Of course, I can come in here and change all these things to other content placeholders. But just to show you the difference, I'm going to leave some of these things in there so you can see what comes in from the master and what comes in from your content placeholder. One of the things that I like to do also, the footer, instead of having to touch the master page later on, never leave footers looking like this in templates. You want to actually make this manageable from inside of Sitefinity itself. So if I come in here and delete this, and I create my own content placeholder for the footer and call this one footer, I will be able to manage. So I'm done, as a matter of fact. At this point, I can save this greenforest.master, and now my Lino template has the master page and has all the theme information needed. Can I actually go in here into the theme called Green Forest and create other directory like images, like JavaScript, like CSS? You can definitely do that and add CSSs and JavaScript. The only difference between a CSS directory and this global directory is that the CSS is under a directory called CSS, for instance, will not be loaded automatically. You have to load it yourself somehow inside of Sitefinity, and which you can definitely do. Same thing with JavaScript. But if you put it under the global directory, these will be loaded for you by default, automatically as soon as the theme is being used. Okay? Okay. The only thing left now is to tell Sitefinity that we have actually these master pages and these and this theme all part of this new website template. So how do we do that? Let's go ahead and compile this entire web project inside of Visual Studio. Say build this guy, and it should build just fine. And I'm going to actually run the whole thing, and we'll debug it. That's fine. But for debugging reasons, this will start in Chrome. As you can see, it's my default browser. It will happen at localhost port number 60876, which will be chosen by the system, so you don't have to worry about that. And once it starts, it will try to go to the default.aspx. As you can see from the beginning, this is a brand new site. There will not be any pages, so this will be an empty page. So let's go to the administration of the page. Okay, we'll go to Sitefinity, and we're going to log in with my admin credentials for this website. And there we go. So two things have to happen to tell the system about our master pages for Lino and also our theme for the Lino template. How do we do that? First of all, I'm going to register the theme first. To register the theme first, folks, we'll go to the administration portion. We'll go to settings. And you'll notice here where it says advanced. I'm going to click on this advanced. And here there is appearance. We'll click on appearance, and there is a front-end themes. Notice you can actually add for back-end themes, for editor configuration, for status commands. We're only interested for front-end themes where our end users will be able to see this. And the only thing that comes with Sitefinity 4 for right now is the basic theme, which is a very simple theme that does not have much going on. It's pretty empty, so that you can start with something. So for my case in here, I'm going to create my own. We'll say create new. And I'm going to give it a name. We'll call it, for instance, Green forest theme. You can give it whatever name you want. And the important part here is the path, how the system is gonna find this new theme. There is also namespace and assembly info that you can use later on. Remember, themes do not have to be files like I did here. It could be compiled inside of an assembly, a DLL, and dropped in the bin directory. This is where you will have to pass the entire type, which is the name of the class with the namespace, comma, and the name of the assembly itself. We will definitely discuss this in later videos as well. So for right now, I know that we will have it part of tilde, which is the root of the site, app_data, /Sitefinity, /website templates, / I believe I called mine Lino, and / and for the theme here will be app_themes. You have to be very careful to make sure the path, of course, is identical. And if I remember correctly, we'll call this one Green Forest. Okay, Green Forest. And a lot of you will make the mistakes probably the first time, which is coming in here and saying global or something like this to be able to get to all the different themes, and you don't need to do that. The path is just where the name of the theme itself is at. Sounds good? All right, you don't need to enter anything else. Once we say save changes in here, folks, we would have now 2 front-end themes available for you for the entire site. Great, let's now go ahead and work with the master page. We'll go to pages, we'll see page templates. You will notice that Sitefinity 4 comes automatically with 9 different templates. There you go, a column header, left sidebar, right sidebar, and so on. There's 9 of them over here. I have no pages using anything so far. So let's go ahead and create our own template this time. We'll give it a name, we'll call it Green Forest. You can call it as well anything you want. And this time we're not going to start from scratch, which will allow you to use the UI manager built into Sitefinity 4. I'm going to say use a template. And this time I'm going to say select another template. And if you notice all the way at the top right of the screen, there is use your own master file. Let's click on this use your own master file and point to where my app master is. Notice it automatically defaults to an app_master, which is ASP.NET is expecting. But as I said, Telerik is really pushing to use the website templates directory for future releases of Telerik. So please try to do that so that you can be a first-class citizen of everything that's coming up in the future for Sitefinity 4 and 5 and so on. So say browse other folders, and there's my app data, there's my Sitefinity, there is the website templates, there is my Lino template, and underneath template there is app masters and app themes. I know I want to go to app master, and all of a sudden you'll see my Green Forest master right there. Once you highlight it, we use select it, and there is my Green Forest master. We say create and go to add content. So when I click on that, now I'm loading the master page directly into Sitefinity, and look at, this is how the page is going to look like. Some of you will say like, oops, something went wrong. Absolutely not. This is exactly what I was expecting, because it's not using the theme yet. It's actually using everything from the HTML and the markup in the master page. Once I want to marry this master page to my theme, notice at the right side of the screen in here there is a button that says theme. If I click on it, it's automatically using basic, which is built into Sitefinity 4. If I go down in here and I click on a Green Forest, which was found because I added to the administration settings, if we've done our job right, ta-da, we are done. We're in good shape. There you go. Now things started loading automatically CSS by default, and I have different areas I can actually now to content, and I can drag my navigation, put a navigation system at the top. I can actually start putting my top menu. I can put my search in here, and I have my entire content area available for me in here. So this is how easy it is to actually create a template that contains master pages and also themes, and marry them in Sitefinity and make them first-class citizen for the whole thing. One recommendation for everybody, folks, on this watching this video: the only time you want to actually create a master page like this, which is a file-based system, it contains the master page file and the theme, CSS, and so on, is because you want to write code behind, okay? Which I didn't do here. You notice I didn't go to the CS file, I didn't write any code in here. If you find yourself not writing code behind for your master pages, I consider that you're probably doing something too much. You do not want to create master pages this way. You might want to give a chance to use the UI template manager built into Sitefinity, not file-based but database-based. And it will make it much, much easier and it will grow on you, to be honest with you. It's actually a very good template manager, and it works very, very well. This is only you want to write some code, maybe in here, on the load of the template. It needs to make a REST call into a different website or Salesforce or a CRM of any kind and make some integration, whatever. This is where you want to do something like this. But if you only want to use this for layout management, I'm pretty sure you can do this in the UI manager without creating everything I've done in here. I hope you enjoyed this video and got a glimpse into how to create templates inside of Sitefinity 4, and hopefully we'll see you again in another video from Falafel Software. Thank you.